Auburn football's 2022 season may be just about done, but that doesn't mean that the recruiting cycle is anywhere close to being done, with things picking up in late November. Let's talk about the latest commitment to Auburn's 2023 class and what it means for the program going forward. We always want to remind you to smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content, and be sure to leave a comment down below on this particular topic as you're watching or listening. It will help enter you into our subscriber giveaway that we have going right now. Lastly, we want to thank members of our booster club like Bill Petty, who bring to you videos like this. An early Merry Christmas to you all, or should I say Flipmas, because this new commitment is actually a flip from another power program, that being LSU. The Tigers, the real Tigers, snag away Darron Reed and add him to their 2023 class. In every video like this, we want to talk about obviously the player himself, but also what it means for the program in the present, but also in the future. Darron Reed is a 4-star, almost consensus prospect coming out of Columbus, Georgia, Carver High School. Now, we obviously took him from LSU, but there was also some pretty good interest from Clemson as well, another team that the Tigers probably had to fight off a little bit in terms of flipping him over to the real Tigers. A lot of Tiger interest coming from this particular prospect. Nick Eason, our former defensive line coach, is back over there, so you can understand where that connection might have been. Thankfully, he chose the real Tigers, though. Now, it's been an interesting story kind of following his overall commitment, because he actually gave his commitment to LSU back in July. Auburn really didn't seriously start going after this kid until about June, so it was kind of too late at the time since he was planning to commit then. Well, with a coaching change and everything else that's been going on, there's been a little bit more interest. Couple that with several unofficial visits and one official visit that he has taken to Auburn. He is now sold on the Tigers, and officially on his social media at least has shut down his commitment. He is going to be with the orange and blue going forward. So a little bit more in terms of measurables and stats from at least 1 year of his high school I thought would be important information for you to have. He's listed approximately 6'4", 270, 280 pounds, depending on where you look at for your information. So he's got probably a more athletic build across the defensive front, which would probably put him in the defensive end area, not necessarily edge, since we do already have 2 edges commit, more on them in a little bit, but defensive end is probably where he's going to end up given those measurables. And a few statistics for you to consider from his last year of high school at Carver. You got 33 tackles for him, 10 quarterback hurries, 9 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, and a forced fumble. Pretty good statistic that should make you very happy for him in just 1 single year. Now that you've gotten to know the player a little bit, let's talk about what it means for Auburn, and more specifically to start off with, for the present, the current recruiting class of 2023. This is the 12th commitment of this class, give or take some decommitments that have happened, but the 12th overall right now. It's also the 6th defensive commit to this class. It will be the first true, I guess you would call it, defensive end, since there are already some edges and already at least 1 interior defensive lineman listed in this class. If you want to remember who those are, that is Jamarian Harkless at the interior defensive lineman position, Wilkie Denard, and Ashley Williams at the edge position. I know that's not a direct correlation to defensive line, but it's close enough just for you to kind of remember on. The important thing to remember for presently of this class is this is our process probably beginning to fill out that defensive line unit. Like we talked about, you got 1 interior defensive lineman, 1 defensive end right now, and 2 edge positions. There's room for some more interior guys and maybe even 1 more defensive end at least. I don't have the official numbers on what Auburn is looking for in this particular class, but you can kind of look at some depth chart numbers and make your own estimation. And finally, what does it mean for the future, for him, for Auburn? Well, I always like to stress and remind you that prospects coming out of high school, you should just go ahead and expect them to redshirt. However, there are some opportunities at certain positions at a certain point in a program's history where you'll find more opportunities to not only play, but maybe even start much earlier. This is one of those positions. Auburn is literally vacating all of its talent, unless somebody has some years of eligibility I'm not aware of. But at the edge position, they're losing Derek Hall, Iku Leota. At the defensive end position, they're losing Colby Wooden, Marcus Bragg. And there are several other interior defensive line. Basically, the defensive front is all leaving. So there is plenty of room for Darron Reed, but many others that are already here or maybe coming into this class, so expect some opportunities for early playing time. Now, I always like to look at this in terms of where we're at in the battleground states. For Auburn, the battleground states are always Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. We've been doing very well in Florida in this recruiting cycle, and it kind of slowed down a little bit in the case of Georgia. This will be the third overall commitment from the state of Georgia. I'd like to see that starting to pick up a little bit more as we name a head coach officially, whoever that is. Maybe you already know by the time that you're watching this. But having this one added to that battleground state is a huge thing for this class. As a reminder, the other Georgia commitments from this class are Terrence Love, who's a defensive back hybrid with a linebacker type of situation. I don't know that there's been an official statement which one he'll play yet. I thought it was going to be defensive back, but I've seen some other things. And also Adam Hopkins, one of the newer commitments at wide receiver. Both of those are from the state of Georgia. And lastly, we've already kind of talked about this. What about the future of the class in terms of defensive linemen? I would expect at least one more defensive end, since we're technically losing two defensive ends in Colby Wooden and Marcus Sprague. Now, there's other players currently here ready to fill those slots too, but the fact that you're losing some means you want to kind of start filling that depth already, if not getting some guys ready to play right away. So I'd expect at his particular spot, his type of player, at least one more, if not more. So those are my overall thoughts for Darron Reed and what it means for himself, but also the Auburn Tigers in this recruiting cycle and beyond. Let's hear from you down in the comments section below as part of that process of entering you into a subscriber giveaway. Leave something down there below if you haven't done so already, but you must also be a subscriber, so do that too if you haven't done so. Smash the like button on the way out and check out those links in the description for ways that you can help support our content here at E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. War Eagle.